Let's talk about a critical mistake that so many landlords make in their rent agreements. It looks totally harmless, but trust me, it can lead to some massive legal headaches. And the craziest part? It's hiding in plain sight.
It's pretty much the biggest nightmare for any property owner, right? You've done everything by the book, the lease is up, but your tenant just won't leave. It's stressful, it's complicated, and it can get really expensive really fast.
But what if I told you the real root of the problem isn't the tenant at all? What if it's a single, seemingly convenient clause that you put in the contract yourself? That's right, you might have accidentally set the trap yourself.
Okay, let's really get into this. The culprit is a super common clause, one that's all about renewing the agreement or increasing the rent. It's supposed to make life easier, but as you're about to see, it does the exact opposite. And here it is. We're calling it the legal trap. It's any little line in your contract that says the agreement is just going to automatically renew every year. I know it sounds like it saves you a ton of paperwork, but what it's really doing is making you sign away your own control. And this is where it gets really serious. That one simple sentence can spring 4 different legal traps on you. So let's break them down, one by one, so you can see exactly where the danger is hiding. So, trap number 1. By saying the agreement renews automatically, you're unintentionally handing your tenant a legal argument that they have the right to stay, well, forever. If you end up in court, a judge could look at that clause and decide it grants them a permanent right to live there. Just think about how hard it would be to get them to leave then. Next up, trap number 2. A lot of states have really specific rent control laws about how much and how often you can raise the rent. An automatic increase clause? Yeah, that could easily break those rules. If a tenant challenges it, a court can just throw your clause out entirely, leaving you with no rent increase at all.
The third trap is all about fuzzy language. Using vague phrases like rent may be increased creates a ton of legal uncertainty. Increased by how much and when? You see, when the language isn't crystal clear, courts almost always side with the tenant. Ambiguity is your worst enemy in a contract.
And all of this leads to the fourth and final trap, which is a big one. The moment you need the tenant to move out, they can just point to that little clause and say, sorry, but our contract automatically renewed. I have a legal right to be here. This turns what should be a simple eviction into a long, messy, and super expensive legal fight.
Okay. Enough of the scary stuff. Let's talk about the solution. The good news is avoiding all these traps is actually really simple once you know what to do. So here's your step-by-step plan to draft a safe and totally clear agreement.
Here are the 4 golden rules. First, always, and I mean always, create a brand new, fresh agreement for each term. Second, just get rid of the words automatic renewal completely. Third, you need to state very clearly that any renewal requires mutual consent. And fourth, this one's a biggie, keep the agreement's term to just 11 months. So why exactly 11 months? What's the magic there? Well, in many legal systems, an agreement that's for less than a year is treated a little differently than a formal long-term lease. It's a subtle distinction, but it can make it way simpler to handle any disputes, and it gives you, the landlord, a whole lot more flexibility and control.
All right, get ready for the big aha moment. We're going to put the wrong way and the right way to write this clause side by side. The difference might look small on paper, but believe me, in a courtroom, it's a whole different world. You're going to want to see this.
Okay, check this out. On the left, the wrong way creates this binding promise for the future. It locks you in. But now look at the right way on the right. See how clean that is? It gives a clear end date, 11 months. And here's the most important part. It says any new agreement needs mutual consent. That means at the end of the 11 months, you're both free. Nobody's trapped.
So let's wrap all this up with the core ideas that are going to protect you as a landlord. Think of this as your final checklist before you ever sign another rental contract.
First, your contract language has to be specific and fair. Remember, fuzzy language only helps the other person. Second, you have to know that any clause that seems really one-sided can be challenged. Third, and this is crucial, every single state has different rent laws. And that brings us to the most important rule of all. Always talk to a local lawyer. It's a small investment that can save you a fortune down the road.
And we'll end on this quote because it really gets to the heart of what this is all about. The point here isn't to scare you with a bunch of legal jargon. It's to empower you. When you understand these simple legal ideas, you can protect your property and, just as important, your peace of mind. At the end of the day, the strongest contract is one that's clear, fair, and simple.